Everybody, welcome to the Shell Shack. So we're gonna get into doing a project this evening, but first I would like to do a quick roundabout of the Shell Shack and give you guys a tour of kind of the space we're working in. So first of all, I want to introduce Willie. She's my Willa bear, Willa puppy, and she hangs out with me when I'm not doing chemical-y things out here. And the other star of the show in here is Parker. Yeah, Parker and Willie. So they hang out here with me when I'm out here at night, which I am a lot. I'm a night owl. So they're gonna hang out with me and we're gonna do some projects together. So this is a converted barn shed that I was taking over the house of all my art stuff, and so my husband has decided that to get me out of the house and get my stuff out of the house, this was the solution. So we built this together, and this is the cricket station. So all the cricket supplies and everything. And then I also do, there's also going to be sublimation art in our video. So I have all my presses and my mugs and cups and different sublimation templates and vinyls and all that to do some really cool sublimation art. My sublimation printer, which I use at Epson, but when we do that project we'll get into sublimation stuff. And then I have some of my art stuff I just hang around. I'm also an avid hiker, so this unfortunately also has to be my hiking area because all my stuff I want to keep temperature controlled so it stays nice. Brand new air conditioning system thanks to my hubby, which we had to install, but he got it for me. And then I have my wash basin, sink, you know, all, hey, in my world coffee is king, so you know, but first coffee. So, and going over to here, this is like part of my molds and stuff, and this is some finished artwork that's getting the final little pieces done to it before it gets ready to sell. And more big molds, and I have ginormous molds up here. This whole bin is full of critter molds, so we're going to be making a lot of critters. And then over here are my smaller molds, like my coasters, and I have like all kinds of jewelry molds and coaster molds, odds and ends, little trinket trays and bottles and kind of odd molds, your light bulb molds and stuff like that. And my like weird molds that are just odd. And I also have an air purifier in here which has a carbon filter which helps filter out the VOCs in my room. And this is like just my supplies, all the supplies to do cool art projects with. So we got all kinds of stuff to make some really cool things. I hope you guys join me on this adventure. See, there's always time for coffee. I have my coffee cup over here, sorry. And then my resin station is here. So I have my resins. I have more resin down below the desk. My workspace with my heat mat, my UV light, my resiners curing machine. I have a tabletop saw and polisher, and another heat mat if I need to use it is here, with some pieces I'm currently working on and finishing and letting dry. And then I always have like a YouTube video playing in the background to keep me company, because if you guys aren't keeping me company, I gotta have something going on in the background. And then my tumbler to make cups and mugs and bamboo cups, so we'll be making some of that kind of stuff too. So without further ado, thank you for joining me on this quick little tour of the Shell Shack. Sorry, it is dark outside, so or else I'd show you the outside, but this is the space. And even a crash pad up top. So when there's late nights in the Shell Shack, you know, it can just crawl up there and go right to sleep. No, so anyways, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it, and thank you so much, and welcome to the Shell Shack. Bye now. Hey Hey, good evening everybody. How you doing? So welcome to the Shell Shack for another episode of let's see what we can create here together. So I think tonight we're going to, I've got this stuff lately, and I'm sure you guys all have seen this on different videos, is this, it's Magic Pour by Let's Resin. And this stuff is like so cool. It's one of my new favorite things because it satisfies that instant gratification that we so if you ever want to like demold a resin piece early and you're like, oh man, it's still too sticky, I can't demold it, and you get impatient and then you almost end up ruining a piece from trying to demold it too fast, this stuff over here scratches that itch. So tonight what I would like to do, I'm hoping if I have enough, is we're going to be doing a bowl. So this is from Let's Resin. This is one of their larger bowl modes, and I've seen them used for like succulents, like you can put plant succulents into it. It could be used as a bowl in your house because it's non-toxic. It's not like resin that you don't want to put food in. So I thought that would be really cool, and I got a bunch of new pigments in the mail. So let me show you those real quick. So what I found with using Mix to Mold Eco Resin, you know, Magic Pour, is that coloring is different than resin. Obviously it's a water-based material, so you can't use oil-based like your alcohol inks and your different additives that you would put into resin does not work with this stuff, because this is a water-based, and resin of course you put more oil-based type pigments into. So I got some new pigments in the mail. This is from CAS. It's CAS, and this is like a magenta crimson, ultramarine blue, which is a really pretty blue. This is Firewall Scarlet. So to me it's like a reddish orange color. A reddy orange. I like that. So this is a really pretty emerald green. It's phthalo green, which I use phthalo blue in painting a lot, so I'm curious to see how the green's gonna go. This is the magenta. So they sent me several colors that are very similar. I didn't even pull, there's 3 of them in this kit that are very similar. You know, there's more of a pinkish like the magenta, and then you have this crimson, so it's a little darker, but you know, same color family. And then I have phthalo blue, and there's phthalo blue GS and phthalo blue RS. Honestly, so far I'm not sure I know the difference. This one seems, the GS seems a little darker than the RS, but I haven't put it in the material yet, so I don't know how they're going to come out, so we'll see. A Prussian blue, which is a really pretty like grayish blue, dark grayish blue, and then yellow. And there's like these big chemical names in the front of it, which I'm not even going to try to pronounce right now because it is like 11 o'clock at night, and yeah, not going to try to pronounce big names at 11 o'clock at night. So today I thought we would use phthalo green, and then this really pretty blue mica powder, which the mica powder in this stuff, you can use it, but it takes a lot to like actually pigment this material because it's white. It's like a plaster of Paris or ceramic, but it does make for some really cool swirl effects. So we're gonna try that with this really pretty green. By my name you see Sandy Shells. I live in Pensacola by the water, so I love the Pensacola beach colors. So I'm kind of gonna go for a swirl with these 2 colors, but hopefully I have enough, or we're gonna have to use, well, we might be using a different mold. All right, well then, wait one caller, because this mold is too big for how much I have. I'm gonna have to, I haven't got my recent shipment yet of more Magic Pour, so we're gonna have to get a different mold. 1 second. So this could be fun. What about a really cool, the seashell, which makes for a really nice soap tray when it's done. I did another one in a pearl. So this is what the mold looks like when it's done. It's kind of in a pearl color. I did it in a pearl color, and I did some copper and gold flakes, like gilding on the side, on the edges. So it comes out this really pretty pearl color with the glaze. And so that's this mold, but I want to do it in a marbling effect with this new blue pigment I got, and I think I do have enough powder for this mold. So let's get to mixing. What's really cool about the mix to mold or the magic pour or whatever that I've used so far is that if you get the ratio slightly off, it's okay. It's very forgiving as long as you don't get it too thin, because then, you know, your bond, the strength of the material when it's cured may not be exactly what you want. So we're going to put our water over here, and let's measure out. Now, since I'm going to be using pigment, I am going to put on some gloves. So I don't like getting the pigment. If I was just pouring this white, with resin, obviously always wear gloves. This stuff is non-toxic, but it can make a mess, especially when you use pigment. So I'm going to get on my gloves. And I just use the nitrile powder-free gloves. When I'm using my UV lamp, I use black gloves, but I don't stick my hands in the UV light like I'm trying to get a suntan or anything. After all, I live in Florida. I don't need a UV light to give me a sunburn. So, so what we're going to do is we're going to zero this out, and we're going to measure 6 ounces. And I'm probably going to put like a little extra in there because this is exactly 8, and I don't want to be like so close to the money on, because I don't want to run out right at the very top and have to, because you're never going to get the same color twice. So I'm going to measure out a little more than there. Let's see. Okay. And then basically the consistency you want when you're mixing this is you want like a pancake batter kind of consistency to it. Not crepes, pancakes. So, and a little water goes a long way with this stuff. So you don't want your mixture to be too watery. So I'm mixing like I'm mixing my pancakes on Saturday morning. So for everybody out there that's watching this, like, if you have been using resin or using this, tell me in the comments how long you've been using this stuff, how long you've been doing resin or whatever. I would love to hear like what the experience is for you all on your projects and stuff, like how long you've been working with resin, or how long have you been working with this Eco Pour. I never even call it the same name twice. So how long you've been using your magic pour stuff. I'm just making sure, see, it's a nice pancake batter. You know, and I'm making sure I have all the clumps out. Now this stuff is like, it's very committal. Once you start, don't stop. Don't take a lot of time doing other things, because this stuff will set up on you, especially if your workspace is very, very warm. I keep mine in here about 75 degrees. And so we're going to mix up. This is going to be our dark color, our green. And we're going to save this white. And this is what we're going to add our mica powder to. And I just got a visitor in the room, but he's not going to say anything because he's shy. So, and I'm just a little mix because I like that pattern. I like that swirl that's in there. Night night. And let's see. First time opening these. Let's see if I could do this with gloves on. Ah, look at that. It came right off. Sometimes I have to stab it and it gets everywhere. Oh, so guys, the other day I use puppy pads now for my work surface. These are just puppy pads for my Willow dog that she doesn't need them anymore. And since I don't like stuff to go to waste, so I figured, well, I'll just, you know, I'll use it for my projects. So the other day I was mixing up a bunch of stuff, and I had this like other very dark pigment mixed in, and I knocked it over the whole, like this whole thing, I knocked it over. And that stuff, it poured down my, let's see, on my desk, it poured down my leg. Oh my goodness gracious, this stuff is a disaster to clean up, especially with all the pigment in there. Oh my gosh, it was such a mess. It took me like an hour to clean up, and I was like trying to get my mold poured too. Oh gosh. Oh, this stuff, like, I've never used this pigment before. I have other pigments, but this, let's see how this mixes in, because so far it's not mixing in very easily. But so yeah, I was trying to make I think I was making a turtle or something, and I had to pour what I had. I managed to scoop up most of it, and so it did end up in the mold, which was good. It left me a little bit shy, but you know, I mixed up a tiny bit more of magic pour, and I was able to make it work. But it was such a disaster. How that stuff all over my desk, my leg. And I said, you know what, from now on, I think I'm just gonna put down a puppy pad, because that was a huge mess and I don't want to repeat that. Okay, so this pigment is really tough to mix in compared to the other pigments I've used. So I hope this was not a failed purchase. I got this stuff on Amazon, and I was looking for, like, you want stuff like concrete stain or concrete pigment, or you want the powdered, like true powdered pigments, no oils in it at all, because it really will not mix into your stuff. Oh my goodness, guys, look at this. Like, this is supposed to be dark green. Where's my dark green at? Okay. Yeah, if this becomes a problem, I'm going to be finding another dark green pigment to buy, because this is like, for this little bit, this little tiny cup is not really, it's not impressing me so far. So we'll see. This might be a disaster video instead of a let's cool look at the seashell we made video. I don't know. And you got to do this fast, because this stuff will set up on you. Oh, mixing fast, mixing fast. Don't set up on me, don't set up on me. Look, it is still like so light. That was a dark green too, guys. Look at this. It was a dark green pigment, but man, I don't know. This might be I might just have to get it in there and hope for the best and see what happens kind of deal, because my stuff's gonna set up on me real quick here. Oh. Oh yeah, as I'm like doing this, it wants to mix. Okay, we're just gonna have to do this, and I've got a funky green going here. We'll see. We'll see. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Okay, it's still liquidy. It's still liquidy, it's still liquidy. I'm not going to put as much in there as I thought I was, because that's kind of not the color I was exactly going for. Oh, see, it's already getting thick though. Okay, so we got sort of an earthy green out of this. Let's get it in here. Let's get it in here, and I'm going to pour this in a kind of a swirly swirl motion. And I'm really going to have to make sure it gets down into these little grooves, because this stuff is thickening up already. So this is a 20 to 30 minute demold. Basically, when your mold goes cold, it's okay to demold. Honestly, I've gotten impatient with it, and I've got it to demold a lot faster when it was still kind of warm. Now we're gonna work this in here. Just give it a good tippy tap, tippy tap, tippy tap. And I'm gonna squeeze these little scallopy edges because that's where your bubbles are gonna want to hang out. And I'm gonna have to use this mossy green because that's what we ended up getting out of here. I'm gonna try this. Okay, I just added a tiny bit more water so I can get like a, see that finer consistency? Tell me I have enough. Oh, sure. This is going to be an interesting piece, y'all. You know, and the one thing I do like about this though, this stuff, is that, like, say you're not completely happy with the color, you can paint this stuff. So if this color doesn't end up being what we want it to be, we're just going to paint it and we're going to make it pretty. One way or another, we're just going to make it pretty. Because you have to seal it too. All right. I'm just making a little bit more here. And we're going to add this, and I might have a little bit of extras. That's okay. We can do extras. We can do extras. I'll find a critter to put it in or something. So you guys saw that I was the consistency was just a little too watery. So what I did is I put a little bit more powder in there. This is already setting up. You know, let's do something funky. Let's do something funky for this, because I don't know how much went in there yet. I have this really pretty blue. I don't know how this is going to turn out. We're not going to make this too dark though. Oh my gosh. Look how messy. I'm so messy. Look at this. Like, look at the difference in this pigment versus that pigment. Like, look how easy that blended in. Can you believe that? Okay. I saw a couple of clumps, so I went ahead and hit it. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the Cardinal Resin No-No, which is peel away a little bit and let this kind of drop down into, like, I'm kind of breaking what's already set up a little bit so I can get this to go down into these spots. That's just for that part of the mess is just to get any bubbles that are in there. Okay, so this is completely full now. And let me run and go get an extra mold. Be right back. Okay. So I went and I grabbed myself a little baby turtle. And this little baby turtle comes out so cute. And he's gonna be blue. So I can paint him. Squish the head a little bit. Squish his little tail. Okay. And then everything, all my tools, I just throw in the bucket. And everything goes over to the wash basin and gets washed out. And, you know, look at the outside of my cup. That's the color I wanted. Look at the inside, and that's what I got. So I'm not sold on these pigments yet. So we might be having a, we're gonna have another pour if this does not work out to plan. You know, this is why I have puppy pads out. I make a mess. I don't make this much of a mess with my resin. A little bit of it dumped out, so before this gets too hard, I'm just dumping that back in. And all right, well, I'll clean this mess up, put all these other things away, get these nasty gloves off, and I will see you guys on demold. BRB. Okay, well, we're back. Let's see what happy disasters we have created in doing this. Let's actually, you know what, we're gonna leave the craziness aside and let's see what our little turtle came out looking like. What did our turtle look like? Let's see. I'm being very gentle. It is cooled off. So now this stuff, when you take it out and you set it out, you can't do stuff with it right away because it has to kind of, instead of degassing like resin does, it actually has to dewater. So it's going to have some, like, you'll notice like little humidity marks, you know, when you sit it down. But that's how our little turtle came out. He's very cute. He's kind of plain, so we're going to have to dress him up. And we got a lot of stuff to dress him up with. So we're going to make him very, very cute. So that's how that came out. And it's really nice when you first take it out. If you have like overage, you just kind of flick it and it comes right off. It's really awesome. Now you see I changed my gloves, got a fresh workspace here so we don't have a mess to look at. Changed my gloves, and when you first start handling it, you can see it's gonna leave, like, you can't do this barehanded or you're gonna have this stuff all over your hands. So that's our little turtle. Now let's see what sort of I don't know, Bob Ross calls it a happy accident, but I don't know if this is going to be a happy accident. It might be just an accident. So we'll see what we get. Let's see. Maybe, you know, it might be one of those pieces where you're just like, wow, look at that. All right. I don't know. I don't know. You never know until you demold. But that's half of the fun, is never knowing what quite you're going to get until you get it. And I'm trying to demold this under the camera. Arr. So forgive me. It's a little bit of a struggle. Okay, we got some kind of interesting things going on here. Interesting, interesting. Oh boy, look at that big giant air bubble right there. Well, okay. I'll be straight with you all. Not entirely thrilled with it. First off, we got a big old fat air bubble. Well, there's something going on right here. I could fix that. And then we got this air bubble here, which I can fix that. However, look at the inside. Look at this. Looks like all the white settled like right here. I don't know, and kind of to me it looks like it's already had soap in it, you know, and it's leaving like a soap scum and it hasn't even been used yet. So I'm gonna let this fully cure. I do like leaving it sit out for about 24 hours. I'm gonna let it fully cure. I'm gonna give it a think and then come back and maybe, you know, dress it up and see what we can do with it. I'm not gonna give up on it yet. But it is, I can already tell it is going to need some UV resin after it fully cures and I seal it. It's going to need some UV resin to fix a couple of imperfections. Yeah, I might, after I dress it up, I might just have, this might just have to live in my house, because this is not, with these imperfections like this, I wouldn't sell this. I would give it away if somebody wanted it, but I wouldn't sell it. So yeah, there's that. Well, and that green did not go into that eco resin very well at all. I am I'm gonna have to play with those pigments a little bit more and see how we can get that actual color. And look at it, look how it stained the mold too. And when I was cleaning out my mixing cups, I put soap in them and I'm letting them soak right now because that's how bad it stained my mold. Like it stained the mixing cup even. Oh, which way is out? Let me out. There we go. Yeah, guys, when you're demolding your items, put your molds back into their normal position like as fast as you can so you don't mess up your silicone. But you see how bad this stained it. Now I wish like our piece turned out this green and not that green, but yeah, this is gonna have to go soak in some soapy water and see if I can get the staining to come off. I mean, the staining, it's not like the end of the world if it stains it a little bit, but we just don't want any of this transferring onto another mold. And you see my hands now, so you can imagine if you didn't have gloves on how this would all look. But that is that. I think we need to do a redemption piece. What do you guys think? I think we need to do a redemption, and it's not going to be with Eco Resin. Well, now for me, I would have to wait until tomorrow. For you, it's going to be like 10 seconds. But I think I will wait till my new batch comes in and we can do that bowl. And we're going to do it good and proper. And so we can, and then we'll have a think about this seashell to see what we can do with it to make it actually look decent. All right, guys. Well, for you, it's only going to be seconds. For me, it's going to be hopefully a good night's sleep. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye now. Alright guys, so we're back, and what I decided to do is, so you saw me in the video and I was painting and I was doing all kinds of stuff, so I thought I'd show you what I did. So I was not happy with that moss green color at all. Like, it did not come out the color that we were expecting. So what I did is I gave it a coat of this stuff. It's an iridescent acrylic color, and this is called Dragon Flash by Abier. And so I just painted that on, and that essentially, it's going to be like kind of like a sealer, so I won't get the powdery stuff all over my hands anymore. But then I'll go over it with a clear coat of acrylic after all said and done. But I wanted to see kind of where it was going to go before I commit to everything. And then I did kind of a watered down version of this Folk Art Pearl, which is mother of pearl. And that was just to kind of take the edge off of this green, because the green was very, like, I don't know, it was limey green, but it was pretty pearlescent, but it was kind of had a limey green to it. So I wanted to take the edge off of it, so I used this pearl to kind of just mute it down a little bit. And I decided that this piece is going to be going in my house. So there was just too much going on. I didn't see this before, but on the inside there's like a little imperfection, like right there too. I'm not sure, like, if that was just what the Mixtable or the Eco Resin was doing, or if it was when I kind of manipulated the mold when I put in the blue. Like, I'm not sure, but I'm not going to take a chance with somebody else's house. I'd rather it just happen to me. So then I decided, well, why stop there? You know, we're having way too much fun. So what I did is I took this, it's a metallic powder and gold, and I'm not sure who this is from. If I get my box, I could tell you who makes this. I did get it off of, I did get it off of Temu. So it's a Temu color, but you know what? This stuff actually works really well. And of course, you know what they do is they put the label right over the name. But it's this stuff from Temu. And it's a really nice metallic powder, you know. I mean, you can't, every once in a while I call it getting Temu'd, meaning I got something I wasn't expecting, or it was like ridiculously small from what I was expecting to get. But, you know, for this kind of stuff, hey, it wasn't bad. So this gold, so what I did is I took my brush that came with this kit and I brushed in, because the paint was still just a little tiny bit wet. So I took my brush and I just kind of brushed it all in, and I don't want to do too much because I just put a glaze on this. So, and I brushed it in and I kind of accentuated all these little curves and kind of the indentations there. So I accentuated it in the gold and kind of blended it up this way. So I made it more concentrated down there. That was our soap scum area. And then I brought it up and kind of faded it out a little bit. And then I kind of went over this edge just with a hint of gold, just to kind of carry that look through. And I continued that across the back as well. So now for our little trouble spots, what I did is so I put in some clear UV resin, and and I used the Let's Resin UV resin, and I also have my Let's Resin light. So if you buy some of the UV kits that Let's Resin sells, you also get a UV like little torch. And so, you know, I just hit it with the torch so that way I could hold it in place and not let it, you know, if I put it in my big, for one thing, this thing wouldn't probably fit in my big lamp over there. But this is a way you can kind of get that pinpoint precision and where you want the resin to go. And then I did the same thing over here in this section with this little weird crack area, and I'm probably going to go back and touch that up with my paint again, because I'm not entirely happy how that kind of ran. But anyways, so this is the final look that I got out of this guy, and all I'm going to do is take this and give it a quick in the morning when it's light outside and I'm not going to get chewed up by a Florida state bird, the mosquito. I'm going to take it outside and give it a clear coat spray. So that's what I did there. For our little turtle, our baby turtle, so what you saw me doing is to seal the turtle in, this is just beeswax. It's 100% beeswax. It's all natural. It makes for a really nice glaze. So if you apply it with the sponge and you get it all in all the cracks and everything, and you just kind of rub it all in, well, you let it sit for about 20 minutes, and then you come back and you can just kind of buff it out, and you know, you get kind of like a little bit of a luster to it. It's not going to shine like resin, but you do get a nice little luster. And so when this fully dries, I'm going to dress him up and put a little face on him. See, he's got like a little eyes and a little smiley face and all that. And I'm going to dress him up and see if he needs a butterfly or something on his back. The other night I did this exact mold in resin, and I made this guy because I had some extra resin left over from another project. And so I took it and I dressed him up, see, with the gold. I did gold on his shell, gave him some little eyes and a mouth, you know, gave him a little personality, painted his little toes. So he is adorable. And so I'm probably going to do something similar and maybe add like a little butterfly or something on his back. Just something cute. And so that is the project for tonight. I will show you final shots of this little guy after he's all dressed up, and then I'll get some daytime shots of our Bob Ross's Not So Happy Accident, just to show you what it looks like after it's all been completely done. So I think for tonight we're gonna let the disasters be, and then we will come back tomorrow and finish this out, and I'll get you guys some final pictures. So thanks so much for joining me. And if you guys have ever used this kind of pigment in your eco pores, shoot me a message, let me know kind of how you blended it into your pigment or into your eco pore, because as you saw, the more we stirred, like it really, this pigment did not come out the way I thought, and I'd hate to like just get rid of it all. So I would, you know, if you guys know a better way to mix it in, maybe mix it into the what am I gonna say? Oh, it's so late. Maybe mix it into the water first, but it seems so powdery. I don't see how it would blend in with water very well either, but at least you wouldn't be under a time frame. You know, and just maybe try something else with it. I'm not sure. And I don't know how this mixes with resin either. So, I mean, if it's something I can use in my resin as a good pigment, then maybe I'll do that. So at least it doesn't go to waste. I do have a friend that does cement work, and maybe this will work better in her cement work than it does for me. So anyway, it's not going to go to waste one way or another, but it just may not be the product that I want to keep putting in my projects and having not so happy accidents occur. So, alrighty guys, well, thanks for joining me on this escapade. This has been educational, if nothing else, and hey, I get a soap dish out of it. So, hope you guys all have a good night, and please feel free to hit like, and I hope you subscribe, and we'll get into some more adventures. And I'm sorry this is all a little rough cut because I'm new at this, but bear with me, and we're gonna have a good time and make some really cool stuff.